Welcome to Blooming Dandelion, where we explore healing, growing, and evolving to live a balanced and fulfilling life. I'm your host, Andrea Rivera Cazul, and each week we'll dive into practical tips, inspiring stories, and expert advice to help you bloom. Let's get started. Hi, Dandelion. Welcome back to Blooming Dandelion podcast. I'm really excited that you're here. It has been an ordeal. I'll say that. It has been crazy, moving. My backgrounds are changing. Unfortunately, I'm still unpacking, okay? So I'm going to get right into the bloomin' soil. My soil, it continues to be unpacking. It continues to finding stuff, getting rid of stuff. I thought I had gotten rid of everything I needed to. Apparently not. Apparently, I still have so much more to get rid of. But we're getting there. We are slowly unpacking. We're slowly getting adjusted. I'm healing a little bit faster with my toe. For those of you that don't know, this is your first time hearing, I broke my toe around 4 weeks ago now. So we're kind of coming to the final stages of that healing process. It's been long. And that's a part of my bloom, right? Is just being able to get active again and start going to the gym again slowly, to not overhurt or overextend myself. I also got to go to an event with my cousin who was being honored. And she is the most amazing person. She deserves to be honored. But she was being honored as Amplify Latinx's 100 honorees here in Massachusetts. And the event was fantastic. The event and honoring all of these amazing people, it just ignited so much within me. Like, I got so emotional watching just different folks talk about their work, their passions. And I think that's really important when you are trying to work on finding a balance between yourself, your goals, your work, and really try to decipher who it is that you are and where it is that you need to go through and need to go to. There's a lot that we don't consider at times. For me, that was a prime example of like things that I used to do back in my old job when I used to go to conferences and meet new people. And I think that that's something that I really, really, really miss. But that's just me, right? Some folks don't like that. I'm an extrovert, so we love it. So it was just really nice to be overall with folks that are like-minded, that they like this stuff, and are really just passionate about catapulting the Latinx experience and catapulting Latinx talent. And it's just so great being in those types of rooms. Again, we're going to pause right here. 1, 2, 3. So just for those that don't know, Domestic Violence Awareness Month is in October. I have been slowly making all of these episodes in October around Domestic Violence Awareness Month because I want y'all to know that the core of Blooming Dandelion is all about healing, self-love, and evolving into our most authentic selves. And that is something that is really a big struggle for anyone that's going through any type of healing. But I want for this episode for us to really focus on creating a safety plan to break free. And that is the title of our episode. And what I want you to know is that diving into this really important and personal topic, creating a safety plan to leave an abusive relationship, is something that obviously I have gone through and many people have gone through. As someone who has been there, I know how hard, scary, and confusing it is. And finding the courage to leave and to understand that you're in a domestic violence situation is a lot. As a personal note, because I've been through it, but also because I worked at a DV agency and helped many women, many men, many folks go through just figuring out where it is that they needed to go or what things they needed to have in their safety plans. I think that this is crucial. I think that so many people talk about, right, the dangers, the abuse, like what you could see, the cycles of abuse, and that's important, right? Not a lot of people understand that they might be in a cycle of abuse, right? But I think on top of speaking about all of these things, we also need to understand that somebody needs to listen to this and know how to get out and get away safely. I want to always remind you that you are never alone and there is always hope. There's always a way that you can hopefully get out safely, and if you have kids, get them out safely as well. So today, I'm going to walk you through how to create a safety plan that can help you to safely get out and start a new life. Something that's really important is step number one. You have to know your resources. So you have to start by familiarizing yourself with the resources around you. These could be national hotlines, these could be local organizations, local shelters, legal aid, or even just trusted friends and family. In the US, the National Domestic Violence Hotline, I'm going to read it out so that you know it. It is 1-800-799-7233, and they offer confidential support and can help you with any local resources. So if you don't know where to start and you want to talk to somebody on a national level, you can start there. And they will fine tune and find a place that is right for you. You can also check if there's any domestic violence shelters ready or nearby. They often provide not only a safe space for you to stay, but also can provide counseling, legal assistance, and emotional support. It's worth looking into shelters or crisis centers in your area before you leave, so you know where it is that you can go in case of an emergency. And I say this from experience, right? I didn't personally have to go to a DV shelter or anything like that. But when I was working at the DV agency and having to find shelters, some states will have better resources in the sense of availability. Unfortunately, so many folks get impacted by DV, and making sure that there is availability for you, that there is a chance for you to get out. And let me tell y'all something, if you start planning and you are ready to leave, there will always be a way for someone to help. Okay? I don't want that to deter you. I just want you to know that I have gone through the process of having to help folks out, folks to leave, and being able to provide that support. So I want you to know that there will always be a form of support when it comes to leaving your situation. Step number two, you have to identify a safe place. And I want you to understand that by identifying a safe place where you can go and you can leave and get there suddenly, that is what I'm talking about. So this could be a friend's house, a family member's house, or even a shelter. Number one, I want you to know from this is that you should also be going to a location that possibly your abuser does not know. You benefit from a place where your abuser cannot find you, cannot reach you. Okay? So that is something to consider. Make sure that the location is somewhere that you can't give out or easily access. Try to keep a list of a few places in case one option doesn't work. This is really crucial in case of how I told y'all, right? If you call an agency and they're like, we're at capacity, where else can I call? Can I call family members? If you can, establish a code or a word phrase with your trusted friends, family members, relatives that signals that you need help in leaving immediately. A lot of times, I would always say that family members have a thought process or have an understanding of what you may be going through if you are very close with them. So it won't be surprising, but the code word will help you tremendously to signal that things aren't safe anymore and I need to go. I need to leave. I want you to know that that allows you also to communicate the level of urgency and not tip off your abuser. We want you to be safe. This is the epitome and the reason why we do safety plans, is to make sure that you leave at the minimum risk level, that we don't cause any other friction with our abusers, right? These people are narcissists. They don't care. They will go above and beyond to make sure that you do not see the outside. Okay? So, and I don't laugh because this is funny. I laugh because, or not even laugh, I'm chuckling because it's kind of crazy how things can get. Step number 3, I want you to be able to pack an emergency bag. It's essential to have an emergency bag ready with things that you'll need when you leave. Ideally, this bag should be packed in secret and stored in a safe location. It can stay at a friend's house. It can stay at work. It can stay with a neighbor. It can stay in a hidden place in your closet, wherever someone, your abuser, cannot and will not find. Some of the key items that I recommend you have in there: important documents like your ID, your passport, birth certificate, yours and your children's if you have any children with this person, social security cards, any court orders, money, debit cards, credit cards, emergency cash if you have that available to you, keys to your house, your car, anything that you might own, right? If it's in your name, take it with you, because there is a chance that they'll go into destruction mode and you won't have anything. Change of clothes, even if it's 1 or 2, for yourself or your children. Medication if you have anything that's health related, a phone charger. If you need to get a prepaid phone, please go and do that. Having an extra phone is so important and crucial. And then any personal items that could help you make you and your children feel safer. And that way it feels comforting to them in a time that is volatile and kind of unknown. And having this bag ready for you to leave is kind of the step that you need to ensure that you leave quickly and you don't have to worry about certain things back at home. You don't have to come back to find them. I would also, I want to go back a little bit to the money and the debit cards. Somebody on TikTok, I can't remember their name, I'm so sorry, but somebody on TikTok said that another trick, because cash and emergency cards can be canceled and all that stuff, a way that they were getting out of an abusive relationship was them going to the grocery store and buying gift cards. That way it wasn't seen on credit card statements, credit card bills if y'all share accounts, and they still had gift cards in order to buy groceries the next time and all that stuff. So if you can, and you're out shopping and you are trying to create an escape route, buy gift cards. The gift cards can be hidden in that pack as well. But if you can get cash and your credit cards are in your name and you don't have a concern of them being canceled or taken away from you, then please do so. Step number 4, I want you to memorize important numbers. I know that that was something that we did back in the 90s, early 2000s when we didn't have our phones handy. I suggest getting it into a book somewhere that they won't suspect. Write it in between pages if you need to. It's a good idea to memorize them, okay? In case you lose your phone, in case of an emergency, you need to call someone from a device. Make sure that you or a trusted friend has them. Like I said, you are going to need some form of like the domestic violence shelter. So many numbers that you could have. I think that's really important to keep. I also want you to know that you should always have a backup plan for how you'll contact authorities if you don't have access to your phone. You could even pre-program emergency contacts into your phone under code names. Code names will help you out so much. I want you to know that. Step number 5. So this one can be tricky because we live in a digital age where it's vital that you secure your accounts and your devices. Your abuser might be monitoring your phone, social media, your location without you knowing. And I want to give you a couple of tips on how you can do things and stay safe digitally. Number one, change your passwords for important accounts. Enable the two-factor authentication. If you don't know what the two-factor identification or authentication part is when you are logging into, let's say, Amazon or your bank or anything, your phone will get a text and say, did you try to log in at this time? And only you get the passcode through your phone. So that is so crucial, so important. And I say that as someone who did get digitally hacked by her abuser, and they were coerced and used against them. And that was a horrible, horrible time. Use a safe, trusted device to access sensitive information like a computer at the library or a friend's phone, and make sure that you could always put the browser, the safety browser. A lot of these places also, which I found very interesting when I first went to find and do research on DV awareness and DV situations, a lot of these sites have a emergency log out button of the site, and it automatically authenticates different pop-up sites. So that way, in case your abuser is coming in and you kind of are stuck and you're like, what do I do? What do I do? You click that and it automatically does that for you. Be mindful of who you are sharing your location with, and be mindful of where these things are happening, right? Sometimes we are on Instagram, on TikTok, and we put the location of like, oh, I'm in Massachusetts, I'm in Florida, I'm in these places. Take it off. You do not need to post a location. It's not important at this time. Snapchat. A lot of us back in the day had the Snapchat maps. The maps still work. If you are sharing location, they can and will find you. So please make sure to enable and ensure all apps are stopping from tracking. If you are worried about being tracked, consider getting the prepaid phone. That way you can call emergency calls on there. Taking these precautions is for you and your safety. It's for you to be able to get out without being tracked or followed in your escape plan. Step number 6 is considering legal protections. In some situations, it may be necessary to take legal action to protect yourself. This could be including obtaining a restraining order or protective order against your abuser. And I know that this feels overwhelming. I am someone who, when I was leaving, and when my parents got me a plane ride to go home, out of an emergency tact, because they had been on the phone with my abuser, with my ex-husband, with my husband, because we are not divorced right now. They were concerned that this person did not sound like themselves, which I could have told them that, and they knew that. And I called the police. I had called my campus security. Everyone knew, everyone was on alert. But I wanted additional protection, and I called the police. And I was shocked to know that they didn't do anything. I don't know why I was shocked. And this was back in Iowa. It's hard. It's hard to get the stuff done that you are overwhelmed and you're scared to do. And some folks will not offer that help. They had told me that on the weekends they couldn't serve any protection orders, that I had to go in on a weekday and go into the sheriff's office and get that drawn up. When I tell you that I was shocked and baffled, it's not something I ever thought they would tell me, and that they couldn't help me in an emergency situation. Keep your records of your abusive incidents, including photos of injuries, screenshots of threatening texts, and notes on dates and times of the abusive behavior. I did that a lot and sent those pictures to my family, to my friends, so that they had evidence. I knew that also if I didn't show them what was going on, I would excuse the behavior and stay. So I say this from experience, and I say this so that you can find help and support. Step 7, plan your escape route. I want you to create an escape plan for yourself on how you can leave when the time comes. If you can, leave when your abuser is not around, when they're at work, when they're out of the house, when they're doing something. Think about how you'll get out of your home, where you'll go, and how you'll transport yourself safely if you don't have a car. And if you feel immediate danger, always know that you should and can call 911. I think a safety plan, when it comes down to it, I'll give you an overview of kind of how mine occurred, and that'll kind of wrap up the safety plan episode. But for me, my mom was the first one to be alerted that I wasn't happy, that things weren't okay. At the time, I didn't have a working phone because I couldn't pay the bill because we were paying his bills on certain things. And so there was some financial abuse happening from his part. And on top of that, right, I wasn't financially literate in that sense, because I also was overspending to make sure that I took care of myself. And so essentially what ended up happening is that after my mom got told, because thankfully at the time my abuser worked overnight and I worked in regular hours, my mom was concerned, and I kind of told her, keep it hush hush, I don't know what's going on, things aren't well. And the following days I got to a point that he got physical with me for the first time, like really, really physical. And the next morning I woke up with bruises, and I think that was the biggest wake-up call for me, when I could see that the abuse was no longer emotional and it was no longer sexual. It had finally become an abusive physical moment. And I saw my bruises, and he ended up seeing the bruises, and he was like, how did that happen? Almost like, with these abusers, they almost like get like nothing happened. I don't know what you're talking about. And I think that that's so scary. And I told him that it was him, and he was just kind of like, oh, okay, whatever. I went to work, and I was so banged up. I told my friend at work, I told her, I was like, can you please check my body? She checked my body, and the only bruises that I had were the ones that I had seen. We took pictures. I immediately knew that I needed to get things into motion. If not, I was going to chicken out. And I'm so grateful, so grateful that I worked at a college campus at that time. Because if I had worked anywhere else, I don't know what I would have done. And when I went to my supervisor, I told her, we cried, and she later on at lunchtime told me, crying, she was like, I'm so sorry, but I didn't know if you came to me as a friend or as your supervisor, and as your supervisor, I have to be a mandated reporter and report this up to Human Resources. And I felt such a sense of relief that more people were finding out. I didn't feel alone, and it was so important for me to allow this process to start. And when we got to the point of HR being involved, things happened very, very rapidly. He worked on campus, and they essentially served him a order that he couldn't work anymore. They fired him, which also didn't help because at the time we were still obviously living together. And we started off with the plan of how do we get him out? And I told him to leave the first time, and he didn't leave. So I came back with my friend. I always came back with someone, and he didn't leave again. It took him 3 times to be told to leave, and he didn't leave, and I excused that behavior, and I felt empathetic, so I said, oh, we'll wait because it is freezing outside. It's November, the end of November, and how evil could I be in the middle of the night to kick you out? I slept in our primary bedroom, and he slept in the back bedroom, and that whole night he kept on calling me from his job before he got fired and all that stuff, and he was just calling me every 5 minutes. And after all of that happened and he stayed the next morning, I went to my friends and I said, he didn't end up leaving, and they helped me eventually get him out. The last thing I remember is my friends and I going over to my house, and my 2 friends at the time, who were my coworkers, literally made a block around me. I went first and I said, you haven't left after I told him to leave. He was on the phone with his mother, and he started begging me to talk to his mom, and his mom was on speakerphone, and I could not stop crying. I was crying so much, and eventually just went into panic mode and an anxiety attack, and my friends blocked him from getting to me. They asked him for his key of the house to leave, to find a way to leave. He packed everything up and was out in 15 minutes. When we left, I changed my number immediately and got a new phone, got everything new. And when I went back to the house the next day, I was still working and all that. And it was a Friday going on Saturday that everything kind of broke loose for me to leave. My parents called me at around 7 a.m. and woke me up from a very long night of me working. And they were just saying, he's not himself. He sounds like he's out of it, out of control. We need to get you out immediately. So I had less than an hour and a half to pack up everything to leave. And so I called my coworkers, I called everyone to help me out because I didn't know what to pack up. We called the police. It all happened so quick. At the airport, I wrote an email to all the student staff that I worked with, and I told them what was going on and why they wouldn't see me in the next month. While I was in Puerto Rico and I hid my location, I didn't say where I was or anything. I was still obviously working through an investigation with Human Resources and our Title IX coordinator. And about a week in, even after one meeting with my therapist, my accounts got hacked. All of them got hacked. My things were being leaked. Intimate pictures that we had taken or that I had taken were leaked for everyone to see. It was a violation, and I went into panic mode. I'm so grateful again for the family members that helped me at that time, and getting out safely was hard. It was a hard thing to do, and it's hard to grasp between the person that you love and the abuse that you're going through. But I promise that you can get out, and leaving is not easy. There is no one size fits all. My way of leaving could not work for you and might not. And that's okay. But I want you to know that your safety is important. Taking your pace, your own pace, your trusting your instincts and knowing when it's appropriate and important for you to take help. I want to finish off with this phrase, not even this phrase, just this final piece. To anyone that is in an abusive situation right now, if you are hearing this, I want you to know that you are strong, that you are worthy, and that you deserve a life free of fear and violence. And there is a way out. There is light at the end of this tunnel, and it feels far away, but I promise that you can get out. If you are listening to this, if you or someone that you know is in immediate danger, please contact local authorities. Contact your local DV agency for support as well, if you don't want to contact your local authorities at that time, because it's important to navigate these conversations, and you don't have to go through any of this alone. I want to thank you for listening to this episode, and please share, comment. It's important for this information to go out. And I want to always remind you that Blooming Dandelion is a community of support, growth, and healing, and you are always welcome here. Please stay safe, stay strong, and let's keep on blooming together. Until next time. Love y'all. Thanks for tuning in to Blooming Dandelion. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Follow us on social media on Instagram at Blooming Dandelion Podcast for more inspiration. And remember to keep on blooming. See you next time, dandelions.